Hello everyone. So for today's video in my Christmas card series, I'm actually not making a card. I am going to make some home decor. This month's creative challenge for the MFT design team was to create holiday home decor. And the first thing that popped in my head was doing a Christmas banner because I was really disappointed when I had to take down my Halloween banner that I made back in October. So I had to do a Christmas banner to hang in my entryway. I thought it'd be super fun. So I die cut a whole bunch of cardstock using two different banner dies. I used the Jumbo Fishtail Banner Stacks and the Jumbo Banner Day Stacks. And I used Gumdrop Green and Wild Cherry cardstock with the fishtail banners. And then I used Sour Apple and Red Hot cardstock with the Jumbo Banner Day, which is the triangle shaped banners. And then of course I had to add pattern to all of these. So I grabbed several of my MFT backgrounds and then just stamped the different patterns on the different die cut pieces. So for the Sour Apple triangles, I used the Swiss dot background and Sour Apple ink. And then the Gumdrop Green fishtail banners, I used the fine check background and the same ink, so Gumdrop Green. And then for these Wild Cherry fishtail banners, I inked up the fine chevron background with Wild Cherry ink and just using scrap paper on all of them. I didn't use the largest banner from the die sets, so this kind of worked, keeping it a little bit smaller. I was able to fit two banners on each background. So this went really quick. I think it took me maybe 10 minutes in total to stamp all the backgrounds on all these pieces. So it helps though to kind of like, this is almost like mass producing in a way too, is just kind of pre-prep, like pre-die cut everything. I had everything kind of laid out before I even turned on the camera. It went a lot smoother this time. Usually I have such, the mess and the chaos and I have, 10 projects going on at once. But this time I kind of just prepped things as I was doing other work and had it all kind of ready to go, and it just works. So got all the background stamped. On those Red Hot, the triangles, I used the diagonal stripes background and Sweet Tooth pigment ink. That kind of made me think of candy canes. I thought that'd be really cute. So did all that, and then I die cut a whole bunch of snowflakes with the Pierced Snowflakes Dynamics. I ended up die cutting 9 of them because that's how many letters to spell out the word Christmas. So that's how many banners I've got and how many snowflakes. And then I get into adhering everything. So I adhered the Sour Apple triangles onto the Wild Cherry fishtail banners. And then I adhered the Red Hot triangles onto the Gumdrop Green banners. And with those ones I was trying to be careful because the pigment ink wasn't completely dry. So trying not to like rub my fingers on it too much because I didn't want to smear white ink everywhere. And then once that was all adhered, I'm going to adhere all of the snowflakes. So I just added my Tombow Mono Multi-Adhesive just to more the center areas of the snowflakes. I don't mind the ends kind of popping up a little bit. It just gives it a little extra dimension and it just makes it go faster when adhering this much items together. Plus with all the piercing that I didn't want glue oozing out everywhere. So it's just easier to add the glue in the more solid center areas. And I just alternated. I just went, because those snowflakes come in 3 sizes, small, medium, large. I just basically went large, medium, small and just kept doing that 3 times in a row until I had all of them adhered. And obviously I'm going to alternate all those on my banner. And then for the letters, I'm using my favorite, this seems to me like my go-to little Dynamics alphabet set for my banners, is the High Rise alphabet. And it was perfect with the word Christmas. I only had to run the S through a second time. So I was able to run all the letters through at once. So this went really quickly. And then after I did it once, I decided to do it a couple more times because I wanted to make these letters a little bit thicker and more sturdy and dimensional. So I die cut everything 3 times from some black licorice cardstock. And then I just quickly adhered them all together again with the Tombow Mono Multi. Super quick and easy. Just making sure not to apply too much glue so you don't have glue oozing out everywhere and creating a big mess. But it just gives them that extra something, so they pop a little bit more against all the patterns and snowflakes I'm going to have going on here on this banner. So got all the letters adhered. And then for the Merry, I didn't want to do separate banners for each letter in the word Merry because otherwise this banner would be ridiculously long. I'd have nowhere to put it. So I just die cut the word Merry from the Christmas Greetings Dynamics. They had this script font Merry, which is perfect and it fit perfectly. So I die cut that 3 times from black licorice cardstock as well, and then adhered that all together with the Tombow Mono Multi so that it's the same thickness as all the other ones. So I've got those all adhered, and especially with the Mary, it was kind of perfect to have extras adhered to it. So it gave it just that little bit extra strength. So I've got everything adhered, and then I wanted to make the letters pop out even more. So what I just did was grab a scrap, I've got my scrap pad of grid paper here, and some painter's tape, and I just folded over the ends and stuck it to the grid paper so that the sticky side is facing up of the painter's tape, so I can temporarily adhere all of these letters and the word Mary to it, just to hold it in place, so that when I'm painting on the glitter glaze, the letters aren't shifting everywhere. And since I wanted to completely coat the letters, if I hadn't done this, like trying to hold everything with my fingers or something, like you just get glue everywhere. So it's way easier doing it this way. I was quite proud of myself because I tend to make things more difficult than they need to be. So this worked perfectly to hold them all in place. And then yeah, I'm just using my favorite things, glitter glaze, which basically it's like, it comes in like a nail polish bottle, and it's just a clear adhesive with glitter in it. And I need to actually get a new bottle of this. I've used up almost this entire bottle already. And I really like it. It dries really quickly. I only did one coat this time. I thought about doing more, but it gives it a really glossy, glittery look. Other times I have applied several coats to make it really thick and dimensional, but it's totally not necessary. I actually did this before I did the rest of the banner and let it sit and dry. It takes depending on how thick you apply it, if you do just one thin coat, it takes roughly an hour or so to dry. Mine wasn't 100% dry when I was going on to do this, but I wanted to get this video done. So I peeled them off and they were fine. But yeah, I really love this stuff. You just paint it on and let it dry. And even if I hadn't adhered the letters together to make them thicker, like I rarely find that it warps very much if you don't apply too much. And if you do want to apply more than one layer, make sure to just let them dry fully in between and you're good to go. So I love just how shiny and glossy and glittery they are. That was so fun. So once I was done getting them off the painter's tape, I'm going to adhere them to each banner here. And I had to use a fair bit of pressure, so that's another reason why you definitely want to make sure these are dry, because with all the dimension from the snowflakes and that, I wanted to make sure I had the letters adhered good and flat, and adhered well because I don't want them like falling off down the road. So got all the letters adhered, and then I'm going to add the glue to the word Mary, and I'm just going to adhere that to the very first banner there. So really like how these were starting to turn out, just something fun. And of course you could do these in totally different colors. My first thought, I was going to do these in like blues and silvers because that's my kind of go-to Christmas color scheme, which is how we have our Christmas tree decorated, but I thought it'd be really fun to do the traditional red, green, white color combo and then the pop of the black for the letters, just something different. So once everything was adhered, I grabbed my old as the hills little hole punch here. I've had this thing since I started stamping like over 10 years ago. It's just a little Fiskars, like 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch, it just punches tiny little holes. So I use that to punch a hole in each corner of these banners, because this time I've shown in other banners I've made, I usually adhere a piece of cardstock to hold down the twine or the hemp. And then this time I was like, why don't I just sew it through? It would be so much faster and easier. So I had this Christmas twine in my stash. I honestly have no idea where it came from, where I got it. No clue. I came across it in a box when I was kind of purging some of my stuff. So I thought I'd pull it out and use it, but you don't really see a whole lot of it in the end, so you could just use regular, like MFT's hemp cord would work perfectly for this. So I've got a great big huge needle that was big enough, had a big enough eye to thread the cord through, and then I'm just sewing this through the holes I had punched. So it made it really easy to do with the pre-punched holes, so I'm not trying to push the needle through the cardstock and wrinkling the cardstock. And then just kind of eyeballing how I want the placement to be with each one. I didn't want them to be completely overlapping because I wanted it to hang nicely. And then once I was done with that, I of course have to add some bows to each end. So I used my Jumbo Beautiful Bow Dynamics and some red hot felt, and I ran that through the machine twice, so I'll have 2 bows. And hot glue to adhere the felt. I was fine, for me anyway, hot glue works wonderfully. So I made sure it was good and hot so everything adheres really well. And I'm just doing the base of the bow first. And then what I'm going to do is, one, get everything out of the way here. And I find it's easiest to, I just tie a loop in each end of the twine. And the bows are basically just meant to hide the loop. And it just kind of finishes it off and looks really, really cute. So I double it up here, tie it in a loop. Really, really simple. So, and then I just make sure I pull the loop really tight. These banners aren't like super heavy, so I don't need to worry too much about this ever coming undone. I've never had a problem with it, and it's not like people are, you know, touching it and yanking on it. I hang it up out of the reach of my kids because otherwise I have a certain little somebody who probably would pull it apart. But yeah, flip the bow over so the back side is facing me, and then I just adhered my little loop, and then I'm going to adhere the little band, the little felt band for the bow over top of that, so that completely holds it in place with the hot glue. And then finally I take the little tail piece of felt that I die cut and fold that over. So of course it makes the perfect bow. I love this die, especially with felt. It creates the perfect bows. Like it takes me forever to try and tie something like this with ribbon or anything else. I'd much rather die cut it. So there you can see it's the perfect bow. So the bow perfectly disguises the loop on the end. So of course I'm just going to move this over and do the exact same thing on the other side. So get my loop tied, flip the bow over so the back side is facing me, and a little dab of hot glue to hold this in place. Obviously, if you are younger or don't have a lot of experience with hot glue, be very, very careful with this. I've been using a hot glue gun since I think I was like 7 or 8 years old. I used to always steal my mom's, like the great big industrial size sucker. I would hot glue everything under the sun. I don't even remember what I used to make with the darn thing, but yeah, I've been using hot glue guns since before I could drive, and yeah, I just don't seem to burn myself, or at least very, very rarely. But yeah, always be aware that hot glue, if you get it stuck on your fingers while it's still like melted and hot, it will burn so bad. So just be careful. But once I got that all adhered, of course I had to add some buttons. So I went through my Red Hot, Sweet Tooth, and Sour Apple buttons. And I've noticed with the MFT button packs, at least with all the ones I've got, there's usually like 2 or 3 buttons that are similar, or almost like the exact same. And with these ones, yeah, I found 3 or 4 buttons that were similar. I should have done all different ones, like looking back now, but I just like these little glossy, they almost look like little candy dots. I thought they were so cute. So I basically just threaded them around the twine that was exposed between each banner with the needle and the twine that was still left on the needle. And that just made it go a lot faster, keeping the needle on the thread there to thread it through and tie everything in a knot. And I just alternated the buttons until it was all done. So this was really fun. It's so cute hanging up. I'll show some pictures here at the end. And as always, there will be a link below the video to my blog post. There'll be links to all the supplies used, so check that out if you're interested. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping my videos, and I will hopefully see you all very soon in the next one. Bye!